Welcome to the D.B.A.B. Podcast. It's your boy Curtin here with Jack, Cobbs, Adam, and Cleet. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the listen. Also apologize for the delay in episodes. Obviously, like we mentioned last time, some work stuff pops up. Also, we just for 80% of us, we are coming off of our spring break vacation, so it's a little bit of time for us to unwind and spend some time with family and get out of town and all that kind of fun stuff. So, but we're back, right, to record another episode to our listeners and bring you all the goodness that we have acquired over the last week or two or so. Um, but anyways, we got a great show tonight. Obviously, picking up kind of like on what we left off last time. I know we talked about a little bit of NFL stuff, so we'll kind of update some things there because there's been some movement in the NFL world. We'll definitely dive into um, and dribble our way around March Madness. Also talk about some MLB with that World Baseball Classic. I know we got some heated debates that not that we can jump into in terms of the importance of that, and then anything else in the sports world within our time parameters so we get there. But again, it's the DBA podcast. You can get us wherever podcast can be found: Apple, Spotify, all the above. Also, find us on YouTube and go follow us on Twitter. But without a doubt, or whatever, is the DBA podcast. All right, it is the DBA podcast, bringing you another banger of an episode with the boys. It's your host Curtin here. First and foremost, let's get out all the subtleties like we always begin with. Just giving a little quick update of how everybody's doing. I know some of our spring sports are starting to wind down. With what I mean by that is powerlifting are in the final stages of their season. Soccer wise, here in
Be the
Sealy, we are in playoffs um, this week, and then of course track is starting to get running. You know what I mean, right? And then we'll dive into our other things, but um, and then of course we always have our Be the Light segment. So hopefully something has come up that one of us can share with our Be the Light segment. For me personally, I don't know if there's any Be the Light segments for me recently that I've seen or that I've done for other people. Thought about it, didn't do it, but next time I'm definitely gonna do it. But anyways, anybody got to Be the Light real quick?
Anyway,
Don't all jump in at once. It's okay.
anyway, yeah.
I
I
would
was not the light at all. So
At spring break, I ain't done much other than baseball all spring break. But
man, stop lying, Mister Be the Light over there taking over two responsibilities for this week.
well, hey, I did do that.
He did coach softball and baseball the same week. That's Be the Light moment.
ooh,
You know, like
Oh,
I
yeah,
got my
I
head
forgot about
coaching softball debut while
Yeah.
spring break while being the head baseball coach. I'm
Yes,
just, the
that's
CEO of
a-
Stick Sports. In
So-
the spring,
so,
That's
so
a
you're
big-
practicing for when your daughter gets older,
yeah, pretty
be
much.
the head softball coach.
Yeah. Speaking of daughter, I did put together a baby crib and then took it down.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, she didn't like the color, so now she wants to return it. So I put it together and took it down in the same week.
Are you freaking serious? Okay, never mind.
Have you met my wife?
That's
Yes,
not.
yes,
that's
I
not
have.
way not to be the
Hey,
light.
hey, you
That
looking for a
tracks.
job? I could use
That
another
tracks.
furniture delivery, man.
Well, with all this business going, I might need that
I always
job.
need a logistics guy. But
That does track though. Yeah.
Yeah, oh
She
yeah.
didn't like the color.
Yeah, she didn't like the color. It was too gray. It wasn't like dark. It wasn't dark enough. I don't know, dude. I just said yes, ma'am. Took it down. No, I didn't.
that's
So-
that.
so
That's
he
that
goes,
thing. That's that
put
thing.
it up.
Yeah, that's that thing as men that we don't understand, and that's a woman's logic. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
we sometimes you just gotta take it and run with it. Like
That's
there's
what I
no offense to my ladies out there.
Yeah.
Probably explains why.
But yeah,
the only one single one
either
over here.
way,
But
I did coach softball this week. That was pretty awesome.
did you get the dub? Y'all get the dub?
Heck no. But I will say there was some
0 and
improvement.
1 is a softball coach.
I will say there's some improvement. They haven't scored all year, and we scored 2.2 runs in the first game that I
Steal?
coached.
Please tell me
All
you
right.
stole.
We were losing 3-0 in the third inning.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's some positives there. They give up like 18, 20 points a game, something like that.
Okay.
runs
So,
there, sorry.
so improvement a little
Improvement.
bit.
Here's
Yeah,
the
you know.
question though, Cobbs. Were
Yeah.
y'all running? We are stealing some bases.
Dude, we got to get on base first.
Okay,
Like,
Fair
that's
enough.
the whole problem. We got to get on. First of all, we got to throw strikes.
right.
And
Yeah,
the second day,
that's a
we
big one.
decided to throw strikes. The first one, the first inning, it was already 9-0. We walked the bases loaded in the first 3 batters. I mean, yeah, it was fun.
All right.
Then we had a girl hit a ball and tank one. That was pretty awesome. That thing was still climbing when it left.
That is awesome.
It was interesting, though. Like I said, I think I'm the CEO of Stick Sports in the fall at Terrell, Texas now.
All right. Very good. I like how our Be the Light segment went from nobody having a story to then talking about Cobb's softball experience. Like, just
Well,
like in
he
the-
was saying, be the light. To be the light could be anything. A reason why somebody. Well, those girls felt like they had a coach that gave a crap about them. That's a be the light moment, and we take it away from that.
I agree.
That's a perfect example.
They were like,
Or the fact that this could be a be the light
Yeah.
moment for anything. Like we walk into the Nashville airport this Monday afternoon, and they had a guy playing the John Mayer song.
Which one?
Waiting on the world to change.
The world to change. You walk in, that song right there could have meant something to somebody at that moment in time. Just hearing that song.
That's true. It is a great song too.
It's a good song. We walk into Nashville, and that's the first thing we hear walking into the airport, waiting on the world to change. And it's like, oh, there's music. I said, welcome to Music City.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
that is
what
a
did
great
you
song.
think was going to happen there?
Exactly. But that's a be the light moment because it literally went off in our
or
head.
he's
like
just out there to
Music
get your money, so you could take it that way as well.
City. Exactly. But Music City, you gotta have
Did you
music.
give him some money?
No.
Then
I
you
just
weren't
said-
very lightful to him.
Wow.
He was the light to me. That's what it's about, isn't it?
I was
the
gonna
light.
have
The
you
light
be,
did not go both ways there.
I was gonna have you be the light, Jack, because I wanted you to go to get me a hat or a or something from the Tennessee Titan store.
that would have been to be the light.
Yeah.
That would have been a good friend.
You would not see me purchase anything Tennessee Titans. If anything,
I
I will buy
if I
them
gave you
the
the
AJ
money-
Brown wrapper.
If I gave you the money, if I Venmoed you, because you already took $5? You already took $5 from me from that crappy ass March Madness bracket.
Dude,
I
join the
filled
club,
out.
man. My baby's coming out the
Okay.
window on that one.
I was at one time I was at 8.5%.
Hey,
I'm guessing right.
I really was at the point now. I should have said I wanted to text you guys and be like, okay, the person with the best team name or best name keeps their $5 at the end of it.
Well, that's
I
just
have
part
the
of
best
it,
team
though.
name. I'm
I
just
mean,
saying.
yeah, but like
That is
you
part
got to
of
come
the
up
bracket.
better than like coming up with like the same old names. Like cruising for a Bruins is a pretty clever name. Even Hannah's K State of Mind, like it's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Like Curtain Sucks, that's a good one.
Yeah. Hey, the CLC swimmers.
CLC swimmers.
I like that
And
one.
hepatitis see you later. Like it would have been funnier if he would have said hepatitis KU later or something.
Ooh, that'd have
with
been
the Kansas play on the words.
I
Those
ain't
always
gonna
make me laugh. And
I made my bracket with 30 minutes left to make my bracket. So
I'm so proud of you.
thanks, man.
I made my bracket that I tweaked it like 4 or 5 different times, and my tweaks,
I didn't have much time to do it.
I have two, and both of them is called Cruising for a Bruins, and the other one is called the Cougar Catches.
Let me guess. You have Houston and UCLA winning one and the other one, right?
Yes. Oh, that's why he named them that.
Really?
Thank you.
Is that
Sherlock.
right? Okay.
Thank you, Sherlock.
Okay.
I could have said choking up. I could have said choke up top October, and you could have named the Yankees.
Ooh, yeah, I like it.
Too bad it's a different sport. Oh. Anyways, yeah.
How
So
much they pay Judge? Way too much.
All right, let's move on next time.
Yeah, move on there. Anyways, speaking of bracket, mine is air boldness.
I did like that one.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. I also it's funny because like ESPN gives you the ability to fill out 25 brackets.
25.
So I did my
25?
yeah. So I did my main one for Jack's bracket league, and it's already gone down to shit. So like even my national champion pick got knocked out today in Marquette. So thank you, Marquette.
You went for a guy that was bald at one time and now has hair, and now he's coaching again.
Well, quit hating
That was
on
your problem.
guys. And then
Yeah, I know. But anyway, so like
he's using hair growth.
wow. Anyway, so I did the 20. I filled out the rest of my 25 brackets, and like ESPN kind of has this cool thing to where it does like random picks for you. Like it'll randomly fill it out, or it does like smart picks, and it goes based off the matchup and all their data and stuff like that. So that's how I filled out the rest of my 24 brackets, and they are all shit. And it's one of the stats at the end that I'll share with you that how crazy and how possibly it's probably gonna never happen that somebody has the correct bracket. But
I got one good
You
one.
remember? Was it Warren Buffett? Like a few years ago, was it Warren Buffett
yes,
that that said he'll give you like a was $1 billion if you had if you had a perfect bracket.
yeah, yes,
By the way, oh, the only two games in the Sweet 16 I have right is Xavier and Texas.
all right,
That's the only two in the Sweet 16 I have right.
all right. 2 for 16s now.
Baby.
It's a percentage, all right, but not a good one.
Oh,
Did
I'm
you
like at
pick?
18%.
Well, did you pick Baylor because they're about to lose?
I did not pick Baylor.
They're 77-61, losing with 5 minutes left.
That's so
I got
crazy. That's the rule. Oh, rule of 69. We'll
Yeah,
talk about
rule
that one too
69.
later.
I know.
Bro, it's still in effect. What is it?
Well,
49
yeah,
and 0 now.
I don't know. We'll talk about that as one of my stats. But
Nice.
anyways, real quick,
We're
going from we'll go back into March Madness here in a second. We'll talk about some of the major upsets and all that what we've seen so far, especially from those shooters from Bama. No, I'm just kidding.
literally.
Um, um, that whole situation's just been a clusterfuck anyway. So, anyways,
Roll Tide.
real quick, real quick, real time. Real quick, we are getting into the updates of the week for us, real quick, before we get into our major debates here. Um, First off, I'm gonna begin with myself just to get out of the way. Sealy Tiger Soccer, we have playoffs this Friday against Scarborough from Houston. I don't know what to think of it, to be honest. The way we ended our season wasn't very good. We lost our last three. The last two we played really, really, really bad. So hopefully the break helped us bump that, and that when we play on Friday, we can get back onto the roll. But it's gonna be tough. Obviously, anytime you get into playoffs, your level of competition increases and gets better, especially the further around you go. So uh, we're gonna take it one game at a time. Hopefully, we play well. We create a lot of opportunities to score. So if we can fix that and put more goals in the back of the net, obviously, then we will be successful. If not, then our season will come to an end sooner than we want it to. But anywho, our power lifters here. So Jack and Cletus, some of you, I believe, are done or about to be done. So give us a wrap up of how things are dwindling down in the powerlifting world. Powerlifting world. And Cleet, we'll start with you and Ozona.
All right. Wednesday we had three girls that got an opportunity to compete at the state girls powerful meet at the Comerica Center in Frisco. Um, had one girl got sixth, missed the medal by 5 pounds, and other two unfortunately bombed out. Couldn't quite get their one of their lifts. It was it was good. It was awesome. The experience for these girls was awesome. You know, we I know I do sometimes. I take for granted sometimes that how I grew up. Like we went to Dallas, we went to San Antonio, we saw the beach. We've been down to Houston. Some of these kids, especially where I'm coaching at, have might have never been to Dallas. Had never probably seen the beach before, and so just those experiences, giving those kids those opportunity, those experiences, is pretty special. Um, the week leading into spring break, we lifted at the regional powerful meet in Kingsville with our boys. We had two lifted and one bombed out. Unfortunately, couldn't get a squat, and the other one placed sixth or seventh. He improved his placing. He was like eighth or ninth coming in, so he improved his placing about 2 or 3. So it was a good day. Again, just opportunity to give some of these kids some experiences, and you know, and again, most of it, and we can attest to this too. Sometimes the hardest thing as a coach is that senior when they compete for their very last time. You know, to
Amen.
me that's always the hardest. That's the hardest day as a coach is that last day those senior gets to compete. And
Yeah, that
so it's like, I almost shed a tear with our girls. We had two girls, two seniors that made it, and it was, it was hard. You know, that's probably the hardest day of the year is when those seniors compete for the last time ever for Arizona. So, it was a pretty cool opportunity for those kids, and it was a lot of fun.
that's good. It's good to hear. Like, couple points from what you're talking about, Cletus. Like, one, sometimes I don't think that people realize that, because we have all five of us have had the luxury and had the blessings and opportunities to be able to go out and about and see the world and be able to see different things. And then when it really kind of hits home is that when you're in a spot like somewhere like Ozona or somewhere that's kind of not near
Look,
all that, that when those kids are able to go out and some of them it's the first time because, just
oh
of
yeah,
happenstance, whatever, and to see
we
them to experience that is kind of a joy in itself as a coach.
we had a kid never saw the beach in his life. Never. He's 16 years old, has never been to the beach.
Like stuff like that's pretty awesome.
So we took him to Corpus, took him to the beach in Corpus, and he freaking played in that cold ass water for like 30 minutes. They were tackling each other, throwing the football around. I mean, they were just having a ball. And but like he did not want to leave. Dragging his butt out of the water. Then he got a line riding those little lime scooters, and they freaking had a ball
That's good.
of a
And
time.
that's they'll always remember excuse
Hmm.
me, the competition and stuff like that, but those memories are the ones that will go down in their memory banks forever, whether they get to go again or not or whatnot. And then the second part you were saying about, um, you know, we've all experienced that when you get to the end of the road with your seniors, and we've all experienced it ourselves before as players too. But it's just like that moment where you know people tell you all the time, like your coaches are like, hey, you got 10 games left, enjoy it. 5 games left,
It,
and
it's
then
over. It's over like that.
it's over, and then that moment hits you. That's when it hits you is when it's done. Like not when coach says, "Hey, you got 10 left or you got one more game," but like when it's the final, the clocks have ticked down or whatever for the last time, and then to the emotions that are into it, you know, uh, not really overwhelming, but you just feel for them. I know all of us at the end of football season every year with our seniors, it's a little bit more emotional for us as well as coaches. Being around these kids, sometimes being around the kids for since they were freshmen or whatnot, and to see them grow up to be young men, and then to see them, play football for the last time, or basketball, or baseball, or powerlift, or whatever. It's a special moment, but it's also an emotional one too, because for a lot of them, that's the last time they'll be able to compete in that sport. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So um, it is a surreal moment, and something you gotta take in. And then sometimes it's really hard to find words to say anything to those kids. I know I find myself sometimes you kind of give them the cliche of "good job, thank you for everything you done," blah blah blah. But there's no words that you can say to at that moment to help ease their pain, if you will. But all you gotta do is just give them a big old hug, tell them you love them, and that you'll be there for them. All the typical stuff or whatnot. But that is definitely a hardest part of the season or whatnot. But anywho, Jack, how is powerlifting going up there in Terrell?
Um, it's pretty good. Hold on. I'm gonna tell Cletus something real fast. Cleet, that's your be the light moment right there, my friend. That kid's
There you
gonna
go.
remember that for the rest of his life. Those guys are gonna remember the trips, and we as coaches we get in the whole spiel of winning is everything, but for us sometimes it's just that middle minute, 5 minutes of them remembering something that you did for them that someone did for you, or you've seen someone done. That 5 minutes is be the light. That kid has a lightful moment the rest of his
Amen.
life because of old Coach Cletus Knippa. So
Amen.
there you go. So don't say you're not the be the light for somebody. You're the light for that kid for that day. So I would say um, the Terrell Tigers and Lady Tigers. They made the school made an article for our Lady Tigers. about them competing in the regional qualifying. They did really well. I don't know if we've talked about that or not. They get all PR. They all competed at the level. I know when we first got here, there was only 2 or 3 girls that were in powerlifting for the girls, and now they had a total team of 20 that competed through the whole year, which is impressive, and had 3 go to regional, which is a big accomplishment. So great shout out to those girls. The boys, we had 6 go to regional. Pumped about. They only one bottomed out. The rest competed the rest of the way. Get all PR to got. That's we're the big boys now. We're little Terrell, Texas, competing with big 5 and 6As. We competed well and did a really good job. And we have one kid that's qualifying for Abilene state qualifying. So this year for me is a little special because it's the first year that I've been, third round of the playoffs, experienced Thanksgiving football, and I get to experience the state powerlifting meet. It's nothing I did. It was all those kids. Those guys put the work in and did all the work. I'm just a guy that gets to ride their shadow. But we get to experience this. This kid worked his butt off, and he gets one more week of it. Pretty pumped about it for him because he's been talking about doing it all year. And when they, that little light bulb moment when they accomplish something they've talked about wanting to get to, and he's here. And it's coming up pretty quick. It's on Friday and Saturday. First time that I get to experience this. I've heard it's crazy, and it's a wild ride, but I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it because you don't always get these opportunities. So
get ready for being really crowded. Man, you see a lot of big weight get thrown up for sure.
Yeah. I'm literally taking a person to rap, and I might sit in the stands like this.
Yeah, that's good though.
Here's the question. Here's the better question though, Jack. Where y'all going to eat after y'all weigh in?
Good question.
That's the most important question post regionals is after they make weight, where y'all eating at?
I don't know. The kid's a chicken and rice type of dude, but I'm thinking something good. I'm a big eater, and so is the guy, my assistant. We're big eaters, so
you might have to persuade him or kind of push him in a way to where
it's going to be something that we don't have in the area for sure.
There's a few good steakhouses around Abilene.
We're going on the school dime. We're going on the school dime. I don't know if I can take you to the steakhouse.
Hey, you can make it for a dinner.
Yes,
we're planning it, yeah, but I'm pretty pumped.
Awesome. Well, congrats to those lady tigers. Obviously, you got your male tiger that's going to be competing as well. So good luck to all of them, right? Make sure you get some good food in their tummy, right? All that good stuff. Mr. Cobbs, excuse me, Coach Cobbs. You pulled double duty last week. We've already talked about a little bit in terms of the softball, but how are the Tigers baseball?
Hey, it wasn't rough. Hey, they improved, baby. I watched the game where it was the ugliest game of baseball I've ever seen. I will say it was ugly by any means. It was a date that Adam brought home one time. That ugly. Wow. And then the next week I get calls and updates and texts about how improved these Terrell Tigers are. So I'm pumped for him. He takes it as a loss, but I think it's a win.
In the whole scheme of things, I think it's a win too. But I'm not gonna say it was rough. What's rough is what is spring break, because I don't think I know what that is anymore. Especially pulling double duty. Like there ain't no spring break, and with a kid on the way, I ain't gonna get a spring break next year either. So, but
kind of what you signed up for.
Yeah, you're right. Let's see. We came off the weekend, before spring break at a tournament. Kind of got rained out. We played one game, didn't play very well. Made a bunch of errors, which has kind of been our theme for the whole year now. Is we're guaranteed to make at least 3 errors a game, which, if anybody knows baseball, you'll never win doing that. So we started district on Tuesday. That was our first district ball game, and we were playing Forney, which, we went up to 5A this year, and, it's tough all the way around on, all sports, really, especially in our spring sports. It's been tough because we don't have 5A numbers by any means. So, but, our kids compete. That's the biggest thing is they want to play and they want to compete, win, lose, or draw. They're gonna give everything they have. Like I hadn't had kids quit just because we're losing, in the seventh inning or anything like that. They're gonna keep competing, and it showed. I mean, we went out against Forney, which is heck, I couldn't tell you the last time they didn't make the playoffs. I mean, they make the playoffs every single year for sure for 10 plus years now.
Right.
So they're definitely they're a traditional good baseball team. They went 4 or 5 rounds deep last year, you know. But we came out and competed, man. We went to their place on Tuesday. We had a no hitter going into the 5th. Like our pitcher he was dealing, man. He was only throwing fastballs, which is even more crazy. Like couldn't touch his fastball. He couldn't throw his curveball for a strike. So I just quit calling it and said, "Hey, you gonna hit it? You gonna hit it? Let's see what you can do with it."
Right.
And so we got all the way to the 7th inning. We got all the way to the bottom of the 6th, and it was a 0-0 ball game. Or no, it was a 1-0 ball game. And our pitcher, like I said, was dealing. And I pulled him because he was getting tired. I mean, he had a no hitter, but I think I made the right calls. The manager was like, kid was tired. He told me, "Yeah, coach, I'm a little tired. I'm gassed." And he told me, he was like, "Whatever we need to do to win, I want to do it." So I pulled him with no hitter, which went against everything I had in me to do. But in the end, kid wants to win. I want to win, so let's do it. And then we get a fly ball to center with bases loaded, and our center fielder drops it. Ends up, ending it for us right there. And so, it's part of it. Part of baseball. Where I don't know what the deal is with our outfield. Last year, our outfield was a no-fly zone, and this year it's like, hey, you want to hit it to us? Like they don't want it this year. They don't want to touch ball in the outfield. But we competed hard. We got even going down. They scored 3 off of that. He got a triple. Scored 3. We got out of the jam after that, and we had our last at bat at the top of the 7th. And heck, we ended the game with dudes on 2nd and 3rd. So it's our kids are competing. That was the biggest thing. I mean, that obviously making that error in the bottom of the 6th was deflating for the whole team. But they came back and they rallied up, and being some young guys, we're all pretty much all juniors, and we got a freshman and 2 sophomores, I guess, playing. So we're still pretty young, and it was fun to see our kids, because I've been with them for 3 years now, and it's fun to see the growth, not only just in the sport, but leadership wise and just as a human. Like, right there, like, we get out of the jam, and I know our kids are down, but I call them over. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna talk to them. I got to pick them up. And one of my juniors, the guy that was pitching, my junior, he was like, "Coach, get away," and he shooed me away, and he did the whole speech to him and everything else. And I was like, all right. And then they came out and, man, they competed. They got dudes on 2nd and 3rd, and I think the dude that I think the last out was a deep fly ball to some center field or something like that. So the kids competed. That's all you can ask. They didn't watch strikes and everything else. But we lost 1-3. 3-1 to start off our district play, and then we were supposed to play at our place on Friday, and it got rained out. So I made the crazy decision to go back to their place on Friday and play them again, because we don't have the depth or the pitching to play 3 games in a week in district ball games against teams we got to beat.
Right.
And so, I really left it up to the kids. Like, my first thought was, all right, we're going to play Friday, or we're going to play at their place. Like, let's do it. They have nice fields, turf, whatever. We played good, played the best baseball we played all year. So it's like, well, our kids like to play us. And then so I contacted like 2 or 3 captains, and I said, all right, here's the deal. I'm leaving it up to y'all. This is my thought. What do y'all want? And they said, Coach, we want to play. We're going to beat them. I was like, all right, let's do it. So we went over there, and, man, we lost 1-0. And again, our pitcher pitched 6 2/3 inning, 10 strikeouts, 0 earned runs, and he had 2 walks. I mean, just pitched a heck of a game as a junior.
Right.
And then they go out, and our freshman at third base makes 2 errors in the last inning, top of the 7th, and allows them to score a run. It's tough. But then again, heck, we get up to bat and we get 2 guys on. We get a dude on first and second, the bottom of the 7th, and same thing. We fly out again. But like I said, we're playing a good team, and right now, if we start hitting the balls and we learn how to, score when guys are in scoring position, that was our biggest thing. And I think anything can happen from here on out, because we're playing our best ball right now defensively for sure.
Right.
I mean, like I said, we've been averaging at least 3 errors a game, and like Jack said, that White House game, boy, we looked like the Bad News Bears out there. It was bad. We made probably like 6 errors in 1 inning, and then a week later we come out and we make no errors. 1 error in 7, and then again we make 1 error in 7 again. So we're playing our best ball, I think. So we're gonna keep fighting. Our kids are excited. They're not giving up. So that's the best part.
Yeah, as long as they're competing and stuff, everything else will work out. Though
Yep.
eventually the errors and all that stuff, they'll, especially your team's so young, they'll figure it out.
Oh yeah.
Stuff, so. But that's good though. As long as those kids stay in it, they'll keep competing and stuff like that. You'll always have a chance. So.
Yes, sir.
But anyways,
Enjoying it, baby.
expecting more good news on the Terrell Tigers next time we bring up that baseball program. We know they got a great leader in the clubhouse and whatnot. Got some great kids, so just keep at it with them. Obviously just keeping that mood positive. They're on the right track, and once you're able to start uh, putting the ball in play offensively, then you'll be able to generate some runs and help
Mhm.
your stuff pitcher out a little bit. So, and then last but not least, the man in the world of logistics. Adam, how's it going at work, big dog?
Uh, Still busy. I mean, I don't have any exciting stories like baseball games and stuff like that. I pretty much we deliver furniture, drive all across the state of Texas. But I mean, we're just busy right now. We're all over the place. People are getting ready for spring break. We went down to a lot of the South Padre beach areas because all these people were ready for their beach houses, Airbnbs, whatever the case. Because it's always busy spring break in those areas.
Right.
So I mean, staying pretty consistently busy. Uh, Getting out on the road. Got a couple of new teams starting, new drive teams starting. Some of these guys are as green as it gets. Never picked up a piece of furniture in their life. So my always way of just being funny with them. I was like, haven't you moved homes before? Like I feel like that's if you know how to do that, then you could do almost anything else.
Right.
You know how to use a knife, right? Cut box. Just to be funny, because some of these guys, they work 6 days a week, sometimes 7 if they work hard. They're picking up 300, 400-pound pieces
Right.
day in and day out, 10, 15 times a day. So, I mean, these guys work hard. So we just hope stay busy, hope we get some more new guys started so that way we can rotate some of our older guys, give them a break because, if they lose their back, we lose them.
Right.
So we're just staying pretty busy right now, consistently just working on getting some new guys in. So
That's good.
that's pretty much all I do.
Yeah, and it's important what you do, right? Obviously, and getting that new blood in helps out a lot, helps you out. You know what I mean, and your teams out. So it's good news. Excited. I'm sure those people you've been delivering their furniture to are happy too. So you're doing a service. You're being a light every single day to something, right?
Well played.
Like,
Hey, when the world shut down, you know what didn't shut down? Truck drivers.
truck
Right,
drivers,
that's right.
amen.
You goddamn right we didn't.
I'll get praise to them, man. They delivered my baby crib. I didn't have to go pick it up, so I'm all excited for that.
Hey,
Where'd you buy your baby crib from?
I think my wife bought it from Target.
Easy.
Oh, okay.
Easy.
I don't know where she bought it, to tell you the truth, but I think it was Target.
That's all right.
Where'd y'all
Nebraska.
return it?
Oh,
Where'd y'all return it to?
It's still sitting in the room right now until she returns it on Tuesday.
till she returns it, huh?
She told me she was going to return it.
I want her to walk in the room so you can say that again.
Yeah, she said it out of her own mouth. I'm not going to argue with her. Telling you, at this point, boys, you say yes, ma'am, and you go with it. You don't want the wrath of that.
Oh,
You paid for it, man.
I want
You
to see
asked for it.
I want to see
You're
the
not-
wrath.
You're not getting sympathy from us. You've
I
already
don't want
established this.
sympathy. I'm just telling you, you don't want the wrath. All of y'all will be at my house in a couple months whenever we do our normal little thing, and I promise you, she's going to be about when do y'all come? June?
I
June,
think I'm
usually.
changing. I'm thinking I'm
It's gonna be
changing it for
about-
that reason. I'm thinking more like a lake house in
That's
Possum
fine.
Kingdom.
Please,
Dude,
let's
let's
go.
we talked about it last year. We
She's
talked
gonna
about
be
doing
about-
something
I'm
like that.
aiming more towards that, so we can still take the dogs.
Like y'all are gonna get me in trouble for sure. I already know.
That's
I'm gonna
fun.
get yelled at all weekend.
it's gonna be a good time though.
Here, it's this right here. Watch. You stir the chili.
Yep.
We sit back and
Yeah, boys.
we watch.
Watch it bubble up. Watch it
Good thing there's a TV and a fire pit outside. Y'all can go out there and chill and gotta listen to it. If you hear anything break, just come running to help me.
Hey, does this TV go any louder, please? All right. Very good. Thanks for the updates, fellas. Moving on now. We're gonna jump right into it.
Let's get the debate going, man.
Yeah, let's
That's
do it.
what I'm saying. We're jumping
do
light
it.
camera action. We're going. Couple things here. Last time we were on our last episode, we dived into the world of the NFL a little bit. We talked about the combine. We talked about trade rumors. Looking forward towards the draft. We all gave our opinions of like rule changes that we'd like to see in NFL. Blah blah blah. Quick updates here because we're also in the period of NFL free agency. In my personal opinion, there hasn't been nothing too crazy going on with
The
NFL free
Panthers
agency.
right now.
The Panthers are a little bit are getting into it, right? With I know today they got Adam Thielen, the former Vikings receiver, and I also know that they're looking at I think it was DJ Clark or somebody. It was the ex-Lions receiver, I think, as well to bring in. But I think some of the more bigger headlines in NFL have been of course, Aaron Rodgers finally coming out and saying like, "Hey, I won out of Green Bay, going to the Jets. They just got to find or figure out the final compensation, what the trade package is going to be, whatnot." We've also seen Derek Carr trade in the black and silver for black and gold in New Orleans. We've seen Jimmy G go from the Bay to Las Vegas, and then Lamar Jackson is still a Raven and probably will stay a Raven. And of course, the other big trade was the Rams deciding to trade Jalen Ramsey for a bag of peanuts. Which was great.
Why are we surprised that the Rams are doing something like
but
that?
at least they got a bag of peanuts. At least they didn't cut a dude that's worth billions of dollars still.
Yeah. So interesting about the Rams. I was reading articles because I was, as a fan, I was upset about the value they got back for a player of Ramsey's caliber. And what I found was there's a couple of things. There's a track record of the GM, and it's terrible. And then two, they also as an organization have a track record of not getting much value in return for their stars. And what kind of happened was that they signed these guys to big, really over the top contracts, and then within the first year or two of those contracts, they get rid of them for like little to nothing. So the GM of the Rams, Les Snead, they have another year like they did this past year. It's definitely going to be on the hot seat because you take away a couple good years from McVay, and his track record is not very flattering
Well,
at
he
all.
created this monster. I mean, that's
True.
what worries me out about the whole GM. Well, GM and head coaches get to say what they want.
Yeah, but he still has the final say, and he's the one that does all the wheeling dealing. But like when you go back and look, the Rams, like Todd Gurley, right? When he was the best running back in the league, and then now he's not even in the league. But like they gave him a big old deal, and then like a year or two later they cut him.
That sounds pretty familiar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
the Rams started that trend.
There were several, and at one point everybody made, it's funny because they were, everybody was like, "Oh fuck them picks," and the Rams went and won a Super Bowl. But then when
they need them.
Yeah, when the shit hits the fan and you've already won the Super Bowl and your team starts to deteriorate because somebody like Von Miller leaves, and then you have Matthew Stafford out all year because he's hurt, and Aaron Donald wasn't the same Aaron Donald what we've known, and all these other kind of stuff, and now people are starting to poke holes in that, like like it doesn't look, it's not funny now. Like you look like you look like an idiot when you were saying picks don't matter, but they're trading away first round picks, and in return they get a third and a tight end that has, I think they said he had one career reception for 6 yards. The Dolphins, the Ramsey deal. So we'll see. I'm not really going to be too optimistic about the Rams. If they can fix their offensive lineman situation, I think they'll be okay. If they can keep Stafford healthy and all the other guys healthy, I think they'll be okay. But I don't. The future does not look as promising as it once did, but they've kind of put themselves in that situation. So,
but that's the world of the NFL right now. Is the fact that buy everything you can, get everything you can, and go win a Super Bowl, and then try to fix it after you go, and then let that coach leave and get a new coach in here and get the regimen. Like think about the Cardinals, what they just did in Arizona. They literally bought everything. We had a Super Bowl, and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Then they fired their head coach. They fired their GM.
Yep.
And then now they're back to rebuild after they didn't think.
Yeah. And I agree. A lot of teams are like
funny baseball pucks.
Yeah. We'll put them on timeout. We'll put them on timeout here in a second. So
he's bringing in free agency, and you're over here making fun of some dude trying to talk about something that he's talking about the Rammies. I'm trying to bring another team in this conversation. How about we bring the fact that I was going to go to Tennessee and they have us all the rappers on the ground of AJ Brown presence there. So I mean, come on, man. But
and it's soon to be Derrick Henry.
That's the trend of the NFL, and that's the trend of the NBA, and that's the whole trend of all these professional teams. Buy the big name players, go win the Super Bowl, and then try to rebuild or refix it after. If you think about it, think about teams that have sustained success, or team that they've drafted or waited. They took their lumps and kept picks and got better. I can give you 3 examples right now.
Oh, you got
that teams that the Patriots are one, the Eagles are one. They've taken the Eagles were almost what in the NFC East. The NFC East has been known for third. It could be The Bills,
Chiefs.
the Chiefs,
The Cowboys
even
did
the
that.
Cowboys.
The
Like,
Cowboys
so-
did that stunt.
So you take your lump. What the NFL wants. It's not just NFL. It's an instant gratification world we live in. We want instant gratification. We want
it's a
instant
win.
success.
You got to win now.
Yes, and that's not always happens. Like I've always talked about, colleges the same way. They want a coach that's going to come in and win them a championship. That's going to go win the Final Four in basketball, win them a national championship in football. But that's not how it works. I mean, you got to give a guy 2 or 3 years to get all his pieces in a line for it to be successful. Like the year McVay was the head coach, they were great. I'm going back to your Rams. They were great because they couldn't figure them out. But it's a copycat league. As soon as someone figures out how to stop you, they use that template and copy and make it a whole across the board until you have to get better at it. And that's how the NFL is. Like, think about Kyler Murray was dominant because they couldn't figure them out. But as soon as they figured them out, what happened?
Trash.
Hell, Cam was the same way.
I mean, Dak and Zeke the same way. As soon as you start figuring them out, what happened? Like,
Well, they have to evolve. If not, then the people in charge aren't going to last long. So eventually, the NFL is, those guys, they're smart enough. They're eventually going to adapt and change. And I totally agree that most professional organizations, they come out and say like, "Hey, we want to build for the long term," but like their goal is to win now because it looks good right now to win. Like the Rams, it goes back.
Well, if you don't win now, you're fired.
Right.
You're out of job. So you have to win now.
Right, and there's kind of right.
Well,
there's
it's
been that.
money. It's
Yeah.
all about money.
Yeah, because what happens if you don't win? Well, hell, now everybody wants the dude fired, and then they stop making money.
Right. And
You
people
don't make as much as they would.
stop coming to the games.
Yeah,
There's less tickets. Less tickets means less money.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree, and something like an organization like the Patriots and what they've been able to do for the last 20 years. And I know it's kind of gone down a little bit since Brady's left, but that is something that every team should strive to work towards. But it's very difficult to get to that stage because when you think about it, they have a great coach and they had a great quarterback at that time, and not every organization can say that. When we look around the NFL or whatnot, but I think what the Patriots did. Of course, they had Tom Brady and they had Bill Belichick, right?
Well, think about tenure to coaches too. Like you can also bring in like relevancy. Like the Steelers, they're not the best team in the NFL by any means, but they've had the same leadership
right
for the last 15
Man hasn't had a losing season since he's been in the NFL.
And that's a Steelers. I can bring the Steelers. They're going to bring their lumps and draft picks, but the Steelers, another example of they're like you can bring anyone in. Are they going to do the same thing? They might bring a new culture shock change to the organization, but it's not going to be the big jump like the Patriots, like you're talking about. The Patriots, they're not winning Super Bowls, but they're still in the hunt in the AFC every year, regardless. But the AFC is we can all agree the AFC right now is the most dominant teams in NFL history at the moment.
So real quick, and I just looked this up because I was curious. The top 5, number 5 longest tenured coach is Andy Reid.
At the same team though? I'm talking about same team.
10 years with the Chiefs.
He's number 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pete Carroll, 13 years.
Okay.
John Harbaugh, 15. Tomlin, 16. And Belichick, 20.
Tomlin hadn't had a losing season either. He's been in the NFL 16 years.
Think about where those come from. 4 of those 5 are from what division?
AFC.
Mm-hmm. But also too, like when you look at those 5 programs or 5 organizations, like, well, yes, they got good players and stuff like that, but those 5 organizations for the last, 10, 15
How many
years,
have they been in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs at least?
Well, I'm just saying, they've been so consistent, but they haven't been teams that necessarily go out and spend bukus of money on free agency or make all these wild trades to acquire superstars. For the most part, every once in a while they'll go in free agency and they'll sign this guy or this guy or this guy. They draft really well and they develop.
But they got the highest paid. One of them has the highest paid quarterback of all time.
Right.
Yeah, but they drafted him, right? Yeah. It's not like they went and got him on free agency and gave him the deal. It's somebody they drafted and developed. And
I get what you're saying, but one of them has the highest paid quarterback of all time. The other 4 don't.
No, I agree, but it goes back to They drafted him. They developed him. He happened to land in the right scheme with Andy Reid, and the the dividends have paid out because they've won 2 Super Bowls and they've played in
4.
4. Okay, uh, so or
Yep.
he's 2-2 in Super Bowl, or is he
He's
or
2.
3-1? Or is it 3 games? And
He's
2-1?
lost 3. He's been in 3 Super Bowls.
So he's won 2, lost 1.
Yeah,
Right.
he lost 1 to the Buccaneers.
All right, so he's 2-1.
So I looked at this. There's 21 teams. Their head coaches have been there 4 years or less.
Oh yeah, it's
21.
and it's
21.
like, but it also goes back to what we talked about with society nowadays and the pressure and all the money into it, and that if you don't win now, obviously you're sent packing. And there's several teams on that list. The Browns, probably the Jaguars, the
Eagles,
Lions.
Giants.
The teams that have consistently been at the bottom of the NFL are the ones that are consistently churning out coaches and never allowing them to.
I mean, how long was Reed at Philly before they fired him?
10.
I would-
10 years.
Was it 10
Yeah.
years?
He was there for a long time.
He was there for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, like Jason Garrett doesn't get enough. He was terrible in Dallas, but he made a mediocre team
somehow
relevant.
yeah, and he just
But they gave him his chance.
I know.
They gave him his
I
chance.
know. I still think he had several. If he had several opportunities to take a mediocre team and take him to Super Bowl, like the year Des caught it in Green Bay, that was probably the best chances to win the Super Bowl because they had the best offensive line, they had the leading rusher, they're top 10 in defense, top 10 in scoring. That was their year, and they just blew it by making dumb decisions at the end of the moment where it counted, putting it into a ref's hand instead of your own hands, trying to win a game.
I'm about to say
But-
you have to have a little bit of luck.
Yes,
too.
agreed. I agree with that, and that's like that was Jason Garrett's best year, and I think that was probably the Cowboys' best year because every time they go to the playoffs, they blow it because that was the first playoff win since Tampa Bay. Come on, great job, Cowboys. Be relevant. Beat the Detroit Lions the last time they made the playoffs, and you beat Tom Brady the last year he was in the NFL. Way to go, Dallas. Good job. You had 2 claims to fame in the last 30 years. You beat Tom Brady in Tampa. He retired. You beat Matthew Stafford his last year in Detroit. Good for you. Now,
and not a very good Buccaneers team either.
No, and not a very good Detroit Lion team.
No.
Come on. Yes, but that tells you the scenario of society perfectly. 21 teams have had coaches on their team for less than 4 years.
Oh yeah.
That tells you society to a T. And 21 of those teams, how many of them have been competitive for the last 3-4 years?
Well, the Philly is on that list with
Yes.
Sirianni.
But Sirianni got a gold mine too because his
Right,
GM is
I understand
legit
that, but
the GM of that team and VP, that organization from the top
right,
is
but
legit.
you're at the Philly, Tampa with Todd Bowles.
But that's a carry. You got to
That's
carry
Bruce
over
Arians,
Arians.
brother.
These are
Yes,
the
I
last
get
3
you.
years.
I get you.
These are the
But
last 3. So
yes,
I get what you're
but-
saying, though.
yeah, like they went and got named players too. They went and picked up people
Right.
in free agency.
I mean, McCarthy's on the list with Dallas. Zach Taylor, Cincinnati. I mean, but they got the dude throwing the ball.
But he's
a
Zach
dog.
Taylor will be there for 4 years, 4
Yeah.
or 5 years now. They'll 1 year they fall off the map.
Right.
He'll be good.
LaFleur, he really hasn't done much. That's what I'm saying. He hasn't done much at Green Bay. The next one,
How do you have an MVP quarterback?
think about this. I was
not
thinking
make runs in the playoffs.
I was thinking about this the other day. Like, they talk about how great Rodgers is, and he's what? Where would you put him all time?
He's in the top 10.
Top 10?
For sure. Yeah.
1 Super Bowl.
So it ain't always about the Super Bowl.
Dan Marino in my book's top 5. And he doesn't.
Right.
He's never won one.
it.
I know.
But people look at
They'll eat
a
it.
lot of times look at championships too.
I agree. It's the
You
whole
know?
LeBron and
Yeah,
MJ debate
exactly.
too. But we're
But, like,
we're
I
not
was-
talking about that today.
Yeah, but I was thinking about that the other day. Like, it's like freaking, like Favre. He's
up there,
won
yeah.
one, right? He
Yeah.
won 96,
Yeah.
97.
And who did he beat?
6, I think.
The Pats.
The Pats, baby.
Hey.
I remember
Pats.
watching that game. But
In New Orleans. He beat one in NOLA,
that's right.
his hometown, or close to it.
He's from Mississippi, man.
Yeah, but he always
Close
claims
to it,
fame.
yeah.
Claim to fame is NOLA, baby.
But yeah, but after like LaFleur, then you have like Vrabel. He's been at 5.
Shout out for Vrabel, baby. I like old Vrabel.
Love Vrabel.
Vrabel.
Hey, I like Vrabel because he plays for that whole. He got dipped by the Patriots, so he always has a personal vendetta against the Patriots, and I love it.
My favorite moment is when he on a punt 2 or 3 years ago, when he wasted like a minute and a half.
Yeah, he did the Belichick on Belichick.
He Belichick, and Belichick is losing his mind.
Yeah.
And Vrabel is on the sideline just giggling because he knows exactly what Bill is yelling at.
Yes, I give shout out for that. But like, think about McDermott. He's been there 6, right?
6. So McDermott, McVay, Shanahan have all been 6. So outside
I think
the
out
top,
of those 3, Shanahan's better than all of them.
Shanahan's one of the best coaches in the NFL now.
Sorry, McGay, but Shanahan.
So outside the top 5, those top 5 guys, McDermott, McVay, and Shanahan have all been there 6 years. Then Vrabel is the next one at 5.
So just like
time out. Go ahead.
We were talking about the top 3 teams like drafting, and just like going through, their lumps and whatnot. Did the 49ers not do that with Shanahan? They're on that, aren't they? Aren't they on that list?
Oh yeah, they were awful for a while.
So you take McCaffrey away, I'll get that. But like before that, like shit, they drafted all those dudes.
No,
they're not.
Not some of them aren't. Some of them aren't drafted.
Who's the good? Gosh, Trent Williams.
Yeah, he's a free agent signing.
He was a free agent signing.
But
But
he
like,
was with the
this
Redskins, right?
if this doesn't tell you like organization, how long John Lynch been there?
About the
I'll
same
look it
time,
up.
6 years or so.
I
6
got it right
years.
here.
So
Long time.
So in the last year, the years that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan had been there, how many Coaches of the Year award or GM awards have they deserved and not gotten because they hired the best, the hottest looking coach at the time got it? Like, to me, you went in a playoff game with your third string quarterback and made it a game for at least a quarter and a half with the guy that literally had Tommy John surgery a day later.
Yes.
And
But I think
with Mr.
a couple of
Irrelevant, and you make it to the playoffs with Mr. Irrelevant,
Seven.
that to me
I
speaks,
think a couple of things go into that though. One, they had a really good defense, led by the DC, who is now the head coach of the Texans. They had good skill kids, and he did a really good job of moving those skill guys around and getting them the ball in different parts of the field and stuff like that. And and to his credit, Brock Purdy did a great job of coming in as the third string and basically just being the orchestrator to it. And they didn't really ask him at times to do too much, but
that's what it takes.
He did step up and do good stuff. So
But
I do agree.
Who picked the defense, Papa?
And who picks the plays? So who
picks the
helps the
defense?
quarterback?
I mean,
I completely agree. I believe that Kyle Shanahan.
Come
is
on,
one
man.
of the
Shut
best
your mouth.
coaches.
Shut your mouth. Know your role, jabroni.
Shut your mouth.
The reason you're saying that is because you're a Ram fan.
You're fighting the wrong
You
battle.
can't go for the Niners here.
I'm
You're a
just
Ram
saying.
fan.
No,
I can't stand the Niners in every cent of my being. I'm a diehard Cowboys fan.
I know.
I have to root for the Niners. I have to give them credit where credit is due, and
No,
they deserve credit.
I agree. I think Kyle Shanahan's a
How
great
many
coach.
defensive coordinators that went to a head coach have been successful in the NFL?
DCs?
There's a few.
Because D'Amico Ryan just got the job at the Texans.
A crap hole. That's
let's
a
see.
crappy situation.
Belichick's the biggest one I can think of.
Belichick.
He's a defensive guy.
They tried the same thing with Robert Saleh at the Jets.
Vrabel.
He has done nothing.
No, not yet.
You have Vrabel. You have Bill Belichick. You have Parcells. I mean, you want to go history? Or you want to do in the recent years?
I'm just talking about recently because all the coaching carousel. You don't have any.
Usually it's
You got Rabel. That's it. You got Rabel.
You got the Eagles guy just got one.
Glennon or whatever his name is.
Yeah, he just
Okay.
got the Falcons.
So Nick
not the Falcons.
Sirianni. So you
Gannon.
have two.
Because
Most defensive coordinators get put in a shitty situation for a team that's not ready to get rebuilt.
The guy at
Lovie
the
Smith,
Chargers.
Lovie Smith,
Chargers.
he literally got fired. He was a defensive coordinator 1 year in. You can't do
Yep.
anything with 1 year.
I
You're
agree.
in there with the exact same team you started with.
I agree.
You're exactly
Wow.
that's exactly what I've been telling people about the whole Rooney Rule, and that's what Houston Texans are doing. That hiring the 3 African American coaches and setting them up to fail. They've literally had 3 African American coaches and set them up to fail because of one white dude before him set them up to fail, and they haven't fixed it.
Yeah.
Because we can talk about Mike McDaniel for the Dolphins. He didn't even make that team together. Brian Flores put that team
did.
together. And
I
then
can't
they fired
stand
him.
that. I
And then
can't
they
stand
brought in
that.
McDaniels
Yes.
in here, and McDaniels is riding on that coattail.
Yes, exactly. And that to
Flores
me
is
is
a
trash.
he's a defense guy.
It's like the
wasn't
whole
Yeah, he was
thing
a
is-
defensive coordinator.
you're-
That's
you're
what I'm
also-
saying. Like, that's how it had fallen.
You're also
Robert
talking
Saleh got
about
put
the-
in a terrible situation at
Yes.
the Jets.
Yes, and they're relevant. I mean, they were 2 or 3 games away from making the playoffs.
I know, but I'm
Last
just
year.
saying, like, a lot of the
Well,
times they
but their
pull a
defense-
defensive coordinator over
But their
to bring
defense
him
was
into
good.
a head coach just for them to get fired, just so they could become a defensive coordinator again.
Yes, a perfect example would be Dan Quinn.
Well, he blew it himself. He blew his own coaching opportunity in the Super Bowl.
That's true.
Yeah,
Okay,
where he's at is where he needs to stay.
Or
If he becomes a head
Actually-
coach, he's gonna be a jabroni again.
think about this: Chuck Pagano.
Defensive guy.
Huh?
Oh, okay.
Colts.
I thought he was a defense guy. My fault.
Chuck Pagano was a
Not
defense.
Pagano. Dan Campbell. I thought Campbell.
No,
I thought
he was
he
offense. He was a tight end.
Right. See, I thought
He was a tight end and special teams coach.
For some reason, I thought he was a because he acts like a defensive
Because
guy.
he's
With-
intense. That's why you think he's a
with the
defensive
Saints,
coach.
baby. You know who helped him get that start? The
Sean
Dallas Pinche Cowboys. That's who.
Campbell. Oh yeah, that's right.
Pinche Cowboys, baby.
They brought him in, then they drafted this kid named Jason Witten.
Yeah, no big deal.
But you know he you know where he learned a lot of his stuff from is from Sean Payton. Sean Payton is up there for great coaches, but he's an offensive guy. I still think Dallas screwed the pooch on letting him go. Bill Parcells will vouch for that one. Shout out, Bill.
I'm trying to think of all the NFL teams that have it.
There's not
They're
very
head
many.
The Chargers are defensive
The
coordinator.
Chargers. Staley is a defense.
And Arthur at the Falcons, wasn't he a defensive guy?
I think so.
Saleh,
He's also in a shitty situation though, because the Falcons suck.
Well-
Rabel.
Don't
Parcells.
well, they suck.
Not
Oh
Parcells,
no,
Belichick.
not well in that. I agree. They're awful. My well
McDermott
was,
is an offensive guy for the Bills, right? McDermott.
Yeah,
Was he an offensive guy?
yeah, he was offensive.
Yeah.
Yes.
My well was
yeah.
referring to the
David.
like with Vrabel.
Mike Tomlin's
the
a
only
Mike Tomlin was a defensive guy.
was he?
Yeah, Mike
he
Tomlin
is.
was a defensive guy, but he's been a head coach since he
Harbaugh.
joined the NFL.
Harbaugh
Mike
was a
Tomlin was
defensive
hired
guy.
as a head coach.
Harbaugh's a defensive guy.
Really?
Zach Taylor's offensive guy. Who's the Browns coach? He's the former
Kevin
Vikings
Stefanski?
OC.
Stefanski was an offensive guy.
Yes. The Ravens Harbaugh's. He was a defensive guy.
Shout out Harbaugh, man. He didn't get enough credit for what he
I
did.
realize he's been there for 15 years.
Which
And you know
Not
the
really.
funny thing is, they're in the same division. Tomlin and
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh have to go against each other twice a year.
hmm
sometimes 3 if they make it that far.
Yep. The Broncos. Who the hell? Oh, they got.
Oh, they got Peyton. They traded for Sean Payton.
But you know who they had before all that? A defensive guy that never got credit for doing really well with that defense because he picked
Vance
up all
Joseph?
those guys and he trans. No, not Vance. After Vance, Fangio.
Oh,
Vic
Fangio. Yeah.
He was only there like a year, wasn't he? 2 years.
He created the defense to be relevant, and then they fire him and they hire this Nathaniel Hackett.
That's
Yeah.
what my point I'm trying to make
Yeah,
is they bring
I'm
in
with you.
defensive coordinators in just to fire them so they can look for a head coach. They're just trying to remold a head coach that was already there. Don't get me wrong, Dan Quinn has done fantastic with the Cowboys defense, but he was looked at by so many head coaching opportunities, but you saw what he did as a head coach. Why are we trying to relive their career? Let's
Right.
try somebody different. Dan Campbell, prime example. He tried somebody different, and guess what? The Lions are actually competing.
Yeah.
Yes,
And then-
they're fun to watch.
It's a Xerox U league, baby. I'm telling
Right.
you, they try to
But
copy
also-
they try to mimic what they've seen success
Right.
look like, or they
Right.
get the younger looking guy and try to build success. Well,
Right.
think about this. This is a perfect. What you're talking about. This is a perfect example. So you saw veterans. You saw a veteran coach and veteran management with the Chiefs on Super Bowl. Then you saw the young. You saw the young, inexperienced in the Eagles.
Right.
Right. You saw the Chiefs made adjustments at halftime. The Eagles didn't. The Chiefs end up winning. Eagles don't. That's a perfect example. But they're trying to create that, which I can see you can do it. But if you can coach, you can coach. If you can you can relate to players, you can relate to players. If you can get them to get the best out of those players, what they have with professional athletes, do it. It doesn't matter what color you look like, where you're from, what you believe in. If you can get those players to play with their balls off to win you a Super Bowl, by all means, do it. It doesn't matter what you look like to me. You can be in a wheelchair and you can probably coach better than some of these guys that are coaching right there today. It's not going to matter if it's going to get the best out of them.
I agree. Also, another thing in NFL that you kind of see a pattern of too is just like, from their mindset, OCs have more of a likelihood of getting head coaching jobs because offense is more flashy than defense is.
Well,
so in a league like the NFL where it's more business oriented, they're thinking of more, hey, we want flashy, brand new things. We want to see points scored. We want to see offensive put up all these stats and yards and stuff like that because from a business point, that's more entertaining and it's going to bring people to the table.
Sales tickets.
Puts butts in the seats.
And I totally agree that defense wins championships and that defense, good defense is fun to watch too. But for the average,
put butts in the seats.
Right, average people, neutral people,
they don't sell merchandise.
No, the greatest show on turf.
Right.
No.
It's not going to be a marketing tool.
Yeah.
So OCs always have an upper hand because.
Well, what about special teams coordinators? Like, what's his name? Versace. Versace, man, never got a fair game in Las Vegas. I still think that was a crappy situation.
Yeah.
They look out the special teams coaches, but think about special team coordinators from every facet from college to NFL. Those guys have a hand in every player on the roster compared to an offensive and a defensive coordinator. Like they have to say, okay, I like this guy. This guy plays. He's the third string running back. Oh, I like this guy. He's the backup Mike linebacker. I like them for special teams. They're going to go play special teams for me. And guess what? He's interacting. Like Fossil from the Cowboys. Great special teams. Great special teams coach.
Chargers too.
Great special teams coach. Like even think about the coach. Like you saw the Chiefs special teams coach, right? He was a goofy, old-looking dude, but he literally asked his kicker, "Can you kick this? You fine?" When they had their groin hurt,
right?
And the kicker said, "No, I can't do it." Well, he literally made something happen and picked up a guy to kick extra points that did it in high school. And he was a backup, running back, receiver.
He was booting the hell. He was a safety, I think.
But I mean, they don't get enough credit. It's like you said, flashiness. Well, special teams coordinators should get more love and respect for what they do because they got to put their hand in everything.
Yeah, but they're kind of like the ugly stepchild of the coordinator position in football and whatnot. Like OCs and DCs get all the credit for everything, and then special teams coordinators, for the most part, they don't ever get any of the glory. And
I'm giving you glory today, special teams coordinator. Shout out, special teams coordinator. You guys are the linemen of the coaching coordinator role.
But also, sometimes they don't necessarily get all the blame. Like when there's special team blunders, that just falls upon the head coach and the team itself overall. Like, so they're kind of like they're forgotten guys in the back of the room that do all the hard work that doesn't get rewarded for.
Sounds like linemen. What did you just say? What did you
You only know about it when it's not working. Mm-hmm. Is it AC, and that's a perfect example of a special team coordinator and an offensive lineman.
The best phrase in football: block somebody. That's a great idea.
I never thought.
I will write that down, put it in my notepad, and say, "Hey, we got to block somebody."
I mean, that's a perfect example.
Holy crap.
You only know when it's not working.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Block.
Yeah, absolutely. Or
you also like you also know in basketball there is a situations coach.
What?
Did you know that? Yeah.
Are you freaking serious?
I'm changing the
So
so like there's an offensive guy in basketball, there's a defensive guy in basketball, there's a situational guy in basketball.
So is that how they decide who sits on the bench? Like you're the first bench assistant?
It doesn't really, it necessarily depends on you, because I know like some teams have it where like you can see it, like some teams have like 3 coaches in the front, then they have players and coaches in between each player, like creates camaraderie kind of thing. Like, and then you see coaches in the back. But I mean, you can see it from different like winning teams and losing teams. You can see that there's a coach between each. Like there's there's 2 players, there's a coach, 2 players, a coach, 2 players, and a coach, and it's like all can.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I don't have any either.
Well, there's 2 teams. That
I want
do
you
it,
to send
guys.
me a picture right now.
There's 2 teams that I know that do it that I saw this, and that's Texas. Texas did it.
Well, they're weird anyways. They do all kinds of shit.
And Texas Tech did it.
Well, yeah, that did them so well this year.
Well, you also know it. Well, think about the head guy's out, but also thinking like the head coach is out. Can they still win and be successful? Well, perfect example is Kansas. Their head coach was out again, and they lost. They won the first.
I think they'd have lost either way.
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, it shows you how valuable the assistants are in basketball.
I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm just saying your sitting arrangement is not something I've ever seen.
Well, I mean,
and you named one very unsuccessful team that does it. So I'm not sure.
One successful team is, my opinion, the first time you're ever going to hear me say this is
they should win this year. They should win.
They should.
They should be the favorite, no doubt. They should not have been the number 2 seed. They got hold after that. They beat the brakes off of Kansas.
They also know that this is, they got to put blue bloods at number 1s.
Fuck them.
Houston's blue blood.
They are now.
You didn't realize
the 5-man pajama, bro. Come on now.
They got good history.
You're talking French to me right now. I have no freaking idea what you're talking about.
You crazy, bro.
Yeah. So when we start talking about basketball, I'm
gonna do this right here.
Yeah, I mean, you got me. I'm out on that one. I don't watch enough basketball to save my life.
But good things, Cobb and Cleat, a little bit. We're gonna shift gears. When hopefully we record another podcast next week sometime.
They pick terrible times.
I know, but we'll dive a little bit more into March Madness, because that's something I want to talk about too, in terms of the upsets, the games we've seen,
do that Wednesday,
all that kind of stuff. But now I want to switch gears, because I really want to involve our baseball guys, right, more into the fray, and also kind of talk about it. But talking about the MLB season is about to be upon us. Opening day is soon, right? I know they're in spring training right now. So I keep getting notifications of the Yankees losing all the time. It's preparing me for the season. So I don't really have high regard for. Well, that's another thing. So I want to talk about for baseball. One, we can talk about the World Baseball Classic, because the U.S. right now is currently up 9-2 in the bottom of the 6th. Maybe let me.
Sir, baby, they're gonna make it to the
13.
match.
Excuse me. It's 13-2 now, over Cuba. Okay, and they will play the winner of Japan and Mexico in the other semifinal game. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Cuzzo!
Cuba, you're gonna be proud of beating Cuba 12-1. Come on, America. Cuba's only good at 2 things, brother.
They're in the semifinal match, so
they usually produce really good baseball players.
1 or 2, not 9.
Yeah, they don't have a bunch, but
that's what I'm saying.
They're still in the semifinal match, so
that's still impressive. But you're gonna beat them 12-1 and be God's gift to baseball.
I don't know anything from Cuba except for what they produce.
Huh? They produce Cuban cigars and whiskey and rum.
Anyways, we'll talk about that in a second. And hey, you got to play who you got to play. So if Cuba's in the semifinal round, then that's who you got to play. It's not our fault that the other team couldn't.
Coming from the Yankee guy.
Coming from the Yankee guy. Also, talk about real talk. Talk about some of the new rule changes that are coming to MLB in terms of the pitch clock, batter clock, bigger bases, and stuff like that. Are what we are looking forward to with our season predictions for our respective teams. So obviously, I'm a Yankees guy, and then I believe all 4. We got one Astro.
Get the hell out of here, trash cans.
Champions. Champions. You're defending.
Hey, that's what it feels like.
Defending. Champions.
Fastball.
And then we have
Defending champions.
three Rangers on
Sit down, little
the
brother.
podcast as well.
Fastball.
So we'll get into all that. So, anyways, to begin with,
You had to go to the
let's
AL
talk
because you weren't
about-
successful in the NL last year. Stop the shit.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
The only team to play the World Series in the NL and the AL, Houston Astros.
Did they win in the NL?
No, they didn't. They got swept by the White Sox.
The White Sox, exactly.
They were was it 05?
And the White Sox haven't been relevant since then?
05, 07.
Seriously.
Ozzie Guillen was the manager. I remember that one.
Yeah. And what have the White Sox
Yeah.
done since then? Exactly.
What have the Rangers done? since
Not a
then?
damn thing. I agree with you. Shit. That's
They're
a
awful.
point.
They may be a little better
We're all
than
on the
got
same
some
page.
pitching.
My biggest argument is your only argument is saying you're defending World Series, and all we're saying is it's not always about the World Series. It makes you the better team.
Did you bring that up with
It's-
Aaron Rodgers, baby?
It's the end
Oh,
goal, isn't it, though?
Oh,
It's the end goal,
goddamn.
yes.
Oh,
It's the
shit.
end goal, though, right?
Uh,
It's to win a World Series.
But didn't you say that with whole Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
debate earlier? Come on.
Win.
They can't be in the top 10 because they've only won one ring? Okay. Yeah, Busta, what
I
now?
never said they weren't in
Busta.
the top 10.
rewind. Curtain rewind.
I never said they weren't in the top 10. I was just curious where y'all had them.
But as soon as
Yeah.
we said where they were at, your first thing was like, but he only has one ring. Okay,
Yeah.
but what, bitch?
But again, that's all it goes into. A lot of people
But
go
what?
into account. That
Yeah, this.
So,
Just let him have his
when it
moment,
comes down
right?
to does it come into account, your whole defending champions comes into account when everybody is against you.
okay. Finish your
Hmm.
point. Is that it, Adam?
Yeah.
That's your point.
Where's my
Okay.
popcorn? Where's my
Where's
popcorn?
Okay.
Where's
So-
my popcorn?
Hey,
Woo, lights, camera, action,
Right.
baby, go. Anyways, we can save that for later. Anyways, switching gears back to the World Baseball Classic. I know before we started recording, we had a little bit of a debate going on, so I'll let Cobbs kind of introduce us into this debate and what we were talking about, and then we are all free game to either agree or disagree with what he had to say. So, anyways, Cobbs, what was it before we started recording today for today's episode that
we were talking about like
you were hotly fired about?
first. I want to say, Jack, just mute Jack because clearly he don't know what the hell's going on because he's over here. Oh, you beat Cuba. Oh, hey, we're in the semifinal. Shut the hell up. But anyways, no, we were talking about how the media and everybody's blowing up about how the World Baseball Classic doesn't matter, and it's why are organizations allowing these dudes to go play in this in these games that don't matter, and to me it does matter. I mean, hell, you get to represent USA. Like if you were asked as a manager, anything, GM, I guess, if that ever happened or whatever, to represent your country, are you going to say no? I mean, what's the difference? Or I had this topic the other day. What's the difference in playing in the Olympics now?
A lot.
They're bringing
A lot.
but
A lot.
But they're
It's
still
different times.
but they are still playing and jeopardizing their career in the long
Their
term.
career is to be on the Olympic team,
Their
jackass.
The Olympians.
That's literally their
the
job
Olympians
is to
goal
be on
is
the
to be
Olympic
in the
team.
Olympics.
Michael Phelps does not swim
That's
for
fine. Hey, guess
No,
what?
stop.
a
You're-
professional
that's-
swim
that's
team,
still-
jackass.
You're
Still
literally sounding
representing
like a
the country
jackass
now.
right now. Like you said.
It's
like baseball cannot compare.
It's
like-
apparently. What's the
You
difference?
can't compare.
All right,
that.
all right.
Olympians are different than professional baseball players for the fact that
All
they're
right, all right.
Olympians.
I agree
They're
with you.
preparing
Hold on.
for 15,
All right.
20 years for every
Jack,
4
Jack.
years.
What does it say?
Baseball's played every year
I agree.
round.
The World Baseball Classic the same way, but what does it say on their chest? It says they're representing their country. Same thing they do in the Olympics.
No. Here, let me help, Cause. Let me help you out with your argument here. Instead of throwing the whole Olympic,
All right, thank you. That's
because that's what started this whole shit show right now. When you said the whole
I agree,
Olympics,
yes.
you're including everything.
Yes.
So what you have to take out of the Olympics to apply it to what you're trying to say is go to men's basketball and men's soccer. It's the team sports that where these guys compete on a professional team outside the Olympics. You can't say the Olympics as a whole because then you're throwing like people that literally all their career, all their life is geared towards the Olympics.
Mhm.
They don't have a major swimming league here in the United States where Phelps, you know what I mean? Like,
way to save
I understand.
him. He was about to strike out, and you threw him 3 or 4 balls to block him on base. Way to save him. Then.
I know, but I know that's where
I knew where he was going with it, but I just had to correct him because
I know
Olympians
are
actual Olympians.
Yes.
Jackass.
It's not the same. You cannot
would the All-Star
compare
game be a better example?
The All-Star game would be a better example.
There you go.
I mean,
That's a good
honestly, the All-Star game would be
That's
a
a good
better
example.
than this.
The All-Star game would be a better example than
that's kind of the topic we had the other day about all the All-Star Pro Bowl.
It's the exact same. It's the exact same.
I would lump it in. Now, this is coming from me as a soccer fan. I would lump it into the category of like the World Cup and all the major international competitions that they have in the off time of seasons and stuff. Now,
you can't bring in last year's World Cup because it was in the middle of their leagues.
Well, but the same thing what Cobbs is trying to get at could apply there too. You know, I know the World Baseball Classic is not this whole big old thing that a lot of people have, history with or make it a big deal, especially it's being played now during March Madness. So, unless you're a diehard baseball guy, like most people aren't going to know or give a shit right now. But I like it because in my mind, it makes me feel like it's the World Cup for baseball because of the teams involved. Now, the whole world does not play. It's just a handful of teams that actually compete. But I like it that these guys are out there. Like, I like to think of myself as, as a true blood American and support Americans in all sports. And, they're competing in this World Baseball Classic. I want the U.S. to have a good showing and not be an embarrassment, especially in a sport like baseball.
Coming from the World Cup soccer team fan here.
Yeah, I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Like, so I would want the best USA baseball players available to go play in the World Baseball Classic and win it for the U.S. So we have bragging rights. It's the same thing for like the Olympics. Men's basketball Olympics, when we want the best men's basketball players to go win the Olympics.
Can we get away from the Olympics? The fact that these dudes don't do it every year or every other year. They go every 4 years and they train for 4 years.
They don't do the World Baseball Classic
It's every 2, correct?
Well, either way, I think we need to get away from the idea of the Olympics. As if anybody asked you to be on the Olympic team, you would say no.
Well, think about this.
But the basketball players for the Olympics don't train for every Olympics every 4 years.
Think about this. You want to bring the Olympics in? We'll bring the Olympics in for this. Do Olympians have their sport? They get to compete with other people every year for the best of the best. They get to compete every year.
We talk about men's basketball.
I'm not talking about men's basketball. We're talking about all Olympics. You brought all Olympics. You said all Olympics.
No, but I specifically am talking about men's basketball.
You done brought all the Olympics in this motherfucker. You done brought them all.
You brought all the Olympics.
I saved Cubs and then I dropped myself.
But no, it's not the same because NBA, MLB, soccer, hockey, they get to play the best of the best every year. Right. And the Olympians don't. They don't get the same. They don't get to practice a month, have an off season in a month, and then play a season and then go back and do it again. No, they get 4 years to prepare to go against the other 100 countries on this planet for 4 years. If they get their butt kicked in 4 years, that's more of an embarrassment than losing a World Baseball Classic to a team in the United States but 12-1. That's more embarrassment. Think about this: if you lose in Russia. Like in the 80s, we're going to bring the Miracle on Ice. You lose to the United States in the 80s. That's a shame. That's a shame on you. That's a shun. You lose in baseball, you're not getting shunned. You lose in the Olympics, you're shunned. You're made fun of. Generations and generations and like we think the Miracle on Ice is great because it's great. Goddamn right it is America. But for Russia, those Russia teams, that ain't goddamn right for them. They're shunned.
I completely agree, and I think
the World Baseball Classic. That's what we had the Redeem team.
I mean, yes,
but I think if the World Baseball Classic had a history and a tradition like the World Cup in soccer and the Olympics, where it was every 3 or 4 years, then I think there would be more of a value to it. But right now, there's not much value to it because it's not.
Well, it's also played at terrible timing.
It is terrible timing.
It is played at terrible timing.
This year, though, hey, it might change a little bit with the freaking attendance and stuff this year. Have you seen that?
But it's also more of a pride deal too. But for like us Americans, we might not give a shit about the USA beating Cuba 13-2 or winning the World Baseball Classic, but countries like Cuba or Dominican
It's a big
Republic
deal for
or
them.
Japan
Yes.
or Mexico, it could
It
be a
is
big deal for them
It's a big
because
deal.
they don't give a shit about March
Yeah,
Madness.
It's a big deal
And
for like
and
guys
to bring
like
back the
that.
situation of like the Olympics, the people who are performing in the World Baseball Classic who don't play in the MLB, that's what they train to do, is to play in the World Baseball Classic.
Was it the
Well,
Czech
that's-
Republic had
that's-
all those like just everyday Joe Schmoes playing it?
Yes, but that's what I was fixing to get to. Is like it's pretty freaking awesome. Like I don't remember where he was a 19-year-old kid. He was pitching for somebody.
Cuba.
Was it Cuba? And literally with it, like I think an hour after he got off the mound and he shut down whoever. I mean, he pitched a hell of a game. The Detroit Tigers gave him a contract an hour later after that he pitched. Like to me, that's what it's all about in the end. And you get to see friggin' like Mike Trout that the Angels suck and they're never going to win, and he gets to play in a game that actually means something finally.
Yeah, it means something to
We're
those.
I mean,
raging
I like
so
the
easy
idea.
there.
I would perform in it if I was asked.
I like
Yeah,
it. I'm enjoying it. I've watched it. I've watched a little bit of it, but as in between games and whatnot. But it's not. You can't say it's the same precedent and prestige as the Olympics.
No, that's
Not
not.
at all.
But
And
anyways,
you can't.
I think
And we also went this. We also went in this debate. Like baseball is not the moneymaker right now.
Yeah, we know that.
well, technically,
Look
it's
at the group
second
text.
most generated sport.
Yeah, it blew up. I didn't read half of those messages because I was busy, and then
Well, I looked it up because I was curious too because I thought it was NFL, NBA, MLB, but the last couple of years it's been NFL, MLB, and then NBA in terms of total revenue generated. So
Talking about right now in the month of March, Papa.
No, I think he's
I'm
talking
just
about
talking
last
about
I know
for
what
the
you're
pro-
talking about. I know what you're talking
just
about.
for pro sports, just for
Yes,
pro
I get
sports,
it.
not college. College is different. Like I saw one thing that there's going to be over $15 billion, through bets and stuff like for March Madness. So they're going to make
Oh
killers.
yeah.
And it's like I sent y'all in the group chat with the payouts that schools get depending on how far they go
Yeah.
and what they can
Well,
use that
you
money
see-
for. So there's
something cool?
there's a shit ton of
So
money.
you know what's cool? You know who's who has a partnership with sports betting? They just literally played 2 games before. They have a contract with sports betting in Michigan, the Sparties.
Okay.
So
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they do have
Yeah,
that.
they
Oh,
got
do they really?
they have a contract with
Yeah.
sports betting
Yeah.
how does
in
that
Michigan.
But I'm
It's that whole
But I'm-
NIL. It's a world that
Yeah,
it's
but, like-
it's an enter the world. NCAA has entered a world they cannot control,
I agree.
but they're trying to control.
So
But they've not. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think they've helped themselves by any means because they've done so much. When this thing collapses on them, which one day it might, or one day we don't ever know. We may not see that day. But the buyouts they give coaches is ridiculous. The NIL deals and the money that they're getting and having to receive one of these days is unprecedented, and it's going into a world that they don't want. No,
college
smoking.
sports isn't even going to be college sports anymore. They're going to be amateur superstars, basically. So
Yeah.
they're going to go from making little less money to making more money. Is really all it's going to be. It's to put you on the map. It's not even going to be college sport anymore.
Like, think about this: Stetson Bennett is probably making more as a college football player at the University of Georgia than he will be in the NFL because he'd be a backup in the NFL.
I don't even think he left.
Well, I'm just saying, like
I don't
AJ
even think he
McCarron.
was picked up in the NFL. So I think he's just a free agent anyways.
I get you.
No,
But
I
that's just
agree.
an example. AJ McCarron
agree.
probably if he was in the era of now, he'd probably make more as a Alabama starting quarterback than he did in the NFL and in the XFL. It'd be a perfect example.
Oh, I
that's
guarantee
what-
you,
that's what-
he probably made more as in Alabama than he did. Right
that's
now.
what I'm saying. Like, but
No, I agree. I agree with everything what you were saying, and that's another
that's another topic
discussion for another day. When we talk about college athletics and where it's going. But
You mean amateur
I
athletics?
couldn't really-
That's where it's going.
So-
yeah, the one thing that was interesting is I could never figure out. I didn't also press it too much, but like for March Madness, and I know we're getting distracted from our World Baseball Classic talk, but March Madness, like, because I think like the NCAA knows for sure, like there's like how like because I think all 64 teams that make it, they get a certain percentage right off the bat, but just for making the tournament, and then they probably have it situated to by round after that. There's a certain percentage that goes to the teams that make it to that
like bowl
round. So
games.
obviously, right. So obviously, the more you win, the more money that you collect. Plus, I think when everything is done after
Ticket
the fact,
sales.
'cause it takes a little bit of time after to get a true know-how of how much money was actually generated from TV and all that kind of stuff. Then I think that is then distributed again based on teams and how they finish. So
And
when
conference.
when you got to yeah, and then when you get to seem like like I forgot in the article, like I think it was St. Peter's like last year and those other low seed teams that make runs to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8. Yeah, it's a great Cinderella, but like the financial windfall from that is so beneficial to their schools.
Oh, it helps fund their program for some
Years.
X amount
Well, like
for
they
years.
bring up from talking about baseball. They bring up what Coastal Carolina in baseball when they won the baseball World Series.
Bought everything.
It helped everything grow from that point on. So another example why, like, it's valuable. Why basketball and baseball and these other things pinpoint what?
Also, not only financially when they make these runs are they successful, but their student enrollment numbers also increase.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big time.
So
That's
that
why
brings even more
Coastal
money.
Carolina winning the College World Series is why they have everything they have right now in the baseball program, like their new turf and all that crap. Like their facilities now.
It's also the year they won 16-0 in football, buddy.
No,
Yes.
it wasn't the same year.
They go hand in hand. We can say they go hand
It
in
wasn't
hand.
the same year.
Probably a football
No, I
part.
said the year
it
they
wasn't
won.
the same year,
Oh,
but
2
that-
years
that
later.
helped.
Yes,
That
2
helped
years
them.
later.
Yeah,
That
agreed
helps, yeah.
completely.
Anyway, so to go back real quick on the World Baseball thing, the argument that we were not arguing, but what we were talking about before the podcast started was how the article about, and it was basically about how the Mets closer, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, got hurt.
Whatever.
Edwin Diaz.
Edwin Diaz got hurt in the World
How do I
Baseball
know that
Classic.
baseball, guys, and you two don't? Stop it.
And they were making they made a big fuss, and they were making a big fuss about it because they're talking about like this World Baseball Classic, it doesn't matter. This guy, they just signed him to this big ass contract, and now he can't play for the rest of the year. Well, that's unfortunately that's just part of sports. You just never know when something's going to happen. Like somebody was counteracting that. I saw it on Twitter, and it was Mariano Rivera for the Yankees. And I know it was the Yankees, but it just happened to be the perfect example. He blew out his knee at batting practice, catching fly balls in the outfield for the Yankees during the season.
Which is what all pitchers do during the season.
So, like, yes, it's kind of the risk you take playing in the World Baseball Classic, like knowing that there could be a potential that you get hurt, but that could occur at any time. He could have, like that Edwin Diaz guy, could have been at home,
or could have been
cooking dinner.
Or is it worse because he did it during celebration? Is that what kind of made it worse? Because it wasn't during
Probably.
the game. I mean, it
Probably.
was,
And I think that's
probably
I
what
think
made
that's
it
always
a big deal. If it was like during the middle of a game, like I
right. I think that's what always makes it worse too. And I think that's one of the most ironic ways to get hurt is celebrating. And then because we had a kid, not this year, this last year, first game of football season, one of our starting right tackles, and we scored a touchdown. They went to do the little jump shoulder budge. It came down and tore his ACL. So
big boy shouldn't be jumping. He know that.
That's why you go.
Big boy don't be jumping. They know that.
That's where you go rocket ship.
Well, it's two offensive linemen.
Like, how do you if your country comes to you and says, "Hey, will you be a part of it and wear our country whatever on your chest?" Like, how do you say no?
I agree.
Like,
same way with the recruiter coming to you if you want to join the military.
I mean,
it's the same thing. Thank you, Adam. Well said.
It's the same idea. If a recruiter walked up to you right now and be like, "Hey, do you want to defend your country?" It can say USA. What are you gonna say?
Sign me up.
It's the same
No,
concept.
thank you. That's my argument.
Thank you. That's well said, brother. Well said. I don't agree with you on a lot of things, but I do agree.
Does my country need me? Sign me up.
I mean, it's like war brings new soldiers to the military.
Yep. All right. Anyways, switching from that.
Way to shut Coblin down. I love it. It's usually me, but I'm glad it's my brother.
Yeah. The Adams, the Garcias
it's not like you're gonna say no.
The Adams are double teaming Cobbs.
Did you say the Adams?
The Adams, easy.
The Garcias.
You said the Adams.
I will throat punch you. I will drive you to Houston and throat punch you.
I meant the Garcias. I'm sorry.
Yeah, shut your mouth, you jabroni.
This ain't fat. It's a fuel tank for an ass whooping machine. Shout out Stone Cold.
All right. Anyways, So we know that the MLB has some new rule changes that are coming into place this year. I think there's like a pitch clock. There's also there's some type of like batter clock. They're making the bases a little bit bigger to easier to steal, and there's also no shifting. Okay, so out of these, the four I just mentioned, I know there's a couple other I probably forgot. Which rule do you like the most? Which rule do you like the least? Jack, start with.
You mentioned the shift rule. I think that's kind of dumb. I mean, the pitch clock and all that stuff to speed up the game, but I think it takes away from the game. I mean, you get shifts. I guess is a part of the alignment because you line up in a different defense from tendencies. I guess that makes sense. But I think the pitch clock, because I know pitchers, Max Scherzer he's already taken advantage of it in spring training. So I think that like imagine getting a 100-mile-an-hour fastball at your face and then having to go back in that box where that dude nearly hits you in the face. That's I think that's probably one thing. I know they need a pitch clock, like time it, but I think it needs to be situational based at certain times, like for 3-2, and then he's trying to catch his breath and composure, and then you still can strike out at that moment if you're not in the box by a certain time. That's when pitchers can get you because it's already a head. Like baseball's a head game anyway.
Right.
So
what I was going to say on that is Schlossnagel. I know when he at TCU, he used the same guy, the sports psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
Their big thing, if you ever watch A&M and TCU when he's there, like before every at bat, they step out of the box. They just stare at the bat, just kind of like focus, step in the box, get ready to go. And they do that after every pitch, and all it is just a focus thing, just to get their mind ready to go. But now, and y'all seen Scherzer, like he'll get in the freaking
let it rip
in the stretch. As soon as that sucker gets in the freaking box, he's throwing that bitch at him. And that guy's
be ready.
Yeah, he's
being a doucher and tightening your gloves, motherfucker. Stand in the box, swing the fucking bat. Being a fucking doucher.
To go with the pitch count stuff, like I don't like it.
Just my cup that I'm not even fucking wearing. Get up there and swing the fucking bat, douche.
Which again, I understand the why they're doing this. The speed
douchiest sport on the planet. Let me give you 30 fucking minutes to adjust your gloves 18 times because you're scared that you're gonna strike out because you forgot to tighten your glove one extra time. Motherfucker, swing the damn bat.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Go ahead, Cleet. Finish where you're about to say.
guess he likes the pitch clock.
Yes,
I like all the clocks. Fuck them. They don't need that kind of time. You're paid millions of dollars to swing the fucking bat. Swing it.
Tell us how you really feel.
It's so frustrating that people are crying about a clock. Motherfucker, swing the bat. Quit touching your nuts. If you're gonna strike out, you're striking out whether you touch your nuts or not.
Very true, Adam. That's a very factual statement right there.
All right, I think we can end it on that note. End it on that note for everything. Fuck all the rule changes and stuff. Just get up there and swing the bat is what Adam is saying. Get up there and
bat and throw the ball.
Get up there, throw the motherfucking ball and swing the motherfucking bat. That is the most simple everything ever.
Shit.
Hey, I think the Turtle Tires got a new mantra.
I know. Swing that shit.
Hey,
STS.
that shit.
Hey, Jackson.
What do you think that they did back in those days? They threw some fucking dirt on their hands, grabbed that fucking 2x4, and they swung that shit. They not worried about fixing their nuts.
I know. Well, Cleet, I'm sorry, Cleet, but
it's all good.
Let it go.
I understand it, but
just let Adam took that one. That was a home run there, Adam. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Anyways, real quick before we wrap it up here, like I said, we're gonna give our kind of quick, I guess, preseason predictions of how we think things are gonna go for our respective teams. We do have 3 Ranger fans here. We got an Astros fan, and of course, we all got the fucking Yankee fan here. But anyway, I don't. I've already mentally prepared myself for the Yankees to overpromise and underdeliver, as always. So, a buddy of mine, he says that he doesn't think the Yankees will make the playoffs at all. I think they'll go in as a wild card, get lucky to get through the wild card, and get stomped by the Astros again. That's just what I hope. How they're built. The excuse lack of movement during the winter meetings to
Just swing the shit, man.
Swing it.
They swing the shit out of
some
it.
of them motherfuckers from the Yankees need to learn. Just swing that shit.
They swing at that shit, okay? They swing at that shit.
Okay, I guess they just can't field then. I don't know. I don't know nothing about them. I just know that they don't win.
They smack at that shit, okay? They smack at that shit. But they just don't. They don't. There's one guy that smacked at that shit last year. Nobody else did, okay?
Yeah.
Adam, you can't say much. You're a Ranger fan, Papa. The Rangers.
Anyways,
I'm going to tell you, we just won't finish last in the AL.
Yeah, we won't do that this year. I will agree with you on that.
So I think the Yankees, they're going to get out as a wild card. They're not going to win the East. Sox, shit like that. They're going to barely win the wild card game against the Twins or somebody like that, and then they're going to get beat by the Astros again. Mark it down. They're going to fucking lose to the Astros again.
It's all right. Daddy's here.
You just said the Twins?
No, I'm just saying somebody in the wild card, whoever, like some random
Rangers this year, baby. Rangers wild card.
Okay,
I can see that.
Okay.
They made some good moves this offseason.
Rangers in the wild card is my prediction. They won't make a run, but they'll be in the wild card. Or they will be in the hunt till last week of the year. Of the year. That's my prediction.
So all my Ranger fans, that we think that the Rangers are going to rebound into a wild card team this year. They have made some really good offseason acquisitions.
I will say in the hunt. I'm not going to say
I will say in the hunt for the last 2 weeks, but I will say this: they need to get their shit together because I'll tell you what, the Dallas Stars, #1 in the Western Conference right now. The Dallas Mavericks are number 4 or 5 in the Western Conference in basketball. Come on, the Dallas Cowboys were number 2 in the NFC this year. So come on, Rangers, you got to bring something, baby. Even I think that FC Dallas even made a run in the playoffs this year. So come on, Rangers, you're the only one not holding your end of the bargain here.
Cobbs, you got anything to add to that?
They'll be in the hunt for sure. I don't know. I'm hoping they'll at least get in the wild card, but they'll be in the hunt. I think they got to keep their pitching healthy. Like they made good acquisition pitcher wise, but if they can't stay healthy, like if DeGrom can't stay healthy, we're screwed. Like it is what it is.
But I think I think they've made the right acquisitions to help them be more of a competitive ball club day in and day out.
And they have good young talent that's going to help them big time. Their farm league is really good.
Yeah, and the guys that they've signed, their big stars that they signed, I think they're going to be guys that actually help and contribute to the Rangers.
Yes.
And they just didn't go out and buy the biggest name and overpay him, and then that dude's not delivering.
And you finally have like, I don't know.
You got the Cuzzo in the outfield. The Cuzzo.
Loosely, but like you finally got some veteran leadership in the clubhouse now, too, which is big. Not only in the manager, but like also in the players. Because you got a couple dudes older dudes now that are in the clubhouse that can help these young guys move around.
They just gotta swing the shit, man. It don't matter.
You just gotta smack at that shit.
Play with your nuts.
And last but not least, from our fan of the defending world champ, Mr. Cletus, tell us how you feel about
Put him on mute. Put him on mute. Fastball.
All right, and that is all we got for tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I want to hear you say repeat because you were so confident coming in here defending.
I know.
Let me hear the repeat.
I won't be shocked if they go back to the World Series.
What a fan you are!
I won't be shocked if they make it back.
Shocked.
No.
Why?
Hey, Cletus, right here, right now. Yes or no? Are they repeating?
No, but that's one of the hardest things to do, man.
So no repeat.
Is to repeat.
Yeah, no repeat.
That's I don't think they'll repeat.
I think they'll run it back, but no repeat.
I think they'll go back to the World Series, but I don't think they'll win.
Okay. Hot take. Who are they playing?
Shit.
Well, we're waiting.
Padres.
That's what I was going to say was Padres.
Slam Diego, baby.
Yep.
If they can stay.
You want to know why they got Slam Diego? Because they swing that shit.
They smack it.
And that is all we have for today.
If they can stay healthy, they have a really
This
good
is
shot.
this is the DBABA
have to.
podcast.
I'm
In
telling
other
you,
words, moral of the story: swing
Bring that.
Swing that shit. Smack it
They
that
have-
shit.
hey, San Diego has to go deep, or everybody there fired. They all.
Oh,
go.
there's no doubt.
absolutely.
They've
The amount of
spent
money
so
they
much
spent.
money to get that team ready to go.
And Tatis is finally healthy again.
Well, what about the Dodgers?
Can y'all take
baby?
this offline?
No Dodgers.
What? Yeah. What about the Dodgers? Those
Los
those
Dodgers?
fuckers. What about those fuckers?
We can talk
Los
about that.
Dodgers?
I don't
All
know
right.
nothing about the Dodgers.
Anyways, so
Los
as we've
Dodgers?
all been
I'm gonna
alluded
start
to,
saying that instead of the
right?
Rammies. Los
As-
Dodgers?
the Dodgers, as we've all been alluding to, as we wrap up here into our final act, where we wrap up smacking this shit. Couple things here. I don't know if any of y'all
You
have
gotta make a shirt,
anything.
Cobbs. STS.
Yeah, I know
Oh,
STS.
that is
I don't know
a-
if y'all have any quotes or anything like that, motivational quotes. I got a couple. There's a guy.
Oh, I
doing
got
that.
one. I got
Let
one.
Adam
I
go.
got one.
Everybody,
Go
we can't
ahead.
have it
Go
as one,
ahead,
bro.
Adam.
Swing that shit.
Swing. There you go. That is it. That is our motivation.
That's good. Or it's like Mike Leach had swing your sword. Adam
Yeah.
has swing your shit.
Swing that shit. Anyways,
Swing
and then
your
for
shit.
our last parting notes here, as always, we do have stats of the week. The one we alluded to it earlier, and so far in March Madness tournament, which we haven't talked about much about March Madness, but we will next time. Is right now we're calling it the rule of 69, and yes, don't get ahead of me, don't get
Yeah.
crazy, right? It's the best number,
Hell yes.
right?
Hell yes.
But what
Yeah.
this stat is so far has shown, and throughout March
You
Madness,
only bite if you touch the
First
private
team.
pots.
the first team to hit 69 in games in March Madness so far undefeated. So the rule of 69 is still alive.
Hell yes.
Hell yeah.
I never thought I'd have 69 in a podcast, but I love it.
Hell yeah. How much for D.B.A.B? All right. And the next one, stat
What?
2. Calm down. Okay. It's from
What
Blues.
the hell
Watch the
was
movie.
that?
Blues Brothers. Watch the goddamn movie. Okay.
How
I
much
never
for the
seen-
women? How much
never
for the
seen the
wives?
movie.
How many for the wives?
How
We're here to
much
see
for
the penguin. We're here
Never
to see
seen the
penguin,
movie.
okay? Well,
Never
go watch
have.
it. It's fucking funny. All right. Stat 2, right? And this one I think is it's absolutely mind blowing. So if every single person on Earth filled out a bracket in all possibilities, so 7.8888 billion people, and we all went out and filled out all brackets of every single outcome of games, it would take us over 2,000 years to make every possible outcome.
But that's just counting this year's, right?
Yes. No, yeah, just a bracket in general every year. The possibilities of who wins games and how it trickles. If every person on Earth filled out a bracket and all the possibilities, it would take us 2,000 years to make every possible outcome. That's just mind blowing.
Damn.
That's why I feel like in our lifetime there will probably never be a perfect bracket.
Or
Well, I mean,
someone
it was-
invents a time machine, comes back in time.
oh god, this is not no Back to the Future ass shit.
Yeah.
You only want
okay.
the time machine so
Great
you can
Scott.
go back and win the World Series again.
Oh, but anyways, fellas, as always, it's been a pleasure and an honor to be with y'all on the show. Another great episode. So thanks for tuning in with all of our great inputs. But the biggest input of the night was by the one and only Adam. That's the STS.
Shout out
Adam.
Coach Austin.
Shout out Coach Austin. Shout out to Hannah Garcia.
Over in Crandall.
Everybody who's listening to us, shout out. Go download our podcast. Go listen to it anywhere you can find podcasts, Apple, Spotify, all the above. We're also on YouTube and Twitter, so go follow us there. And Adam, you want to bless us one more time with your words
Swing
of wisdom
that
for the
shit.
night? Swing that shit, baby.
And DBAB.
All right, fellas. Adios.